Okay, continuing here. We're just going to keep working on this project with less commentary. What's starting to come along? Here's where we're at right now. And then we bring back in this. Just getting rolling on that. I think we can at least duplicate that. Something to be cognizant of is you can duplicate stuff. Duplication is often a really great tool for extending or building a composition. People want to hear things multiple times, and they want to hear slight differences within those things. So So now I repeated that whole section, and I'm just adding those little hi-hats that I had from the intro. Boom. And then I'll take this whole section from the bars, right? So I'm going from the beginning of bar to the end of the second bar here, and I'll duplicate it, and then they line up perfectly. Sort of similar to like the absolute and relative grid stuff. Right? And that kick drum sample from Make Pop Music does a nice job there, doesn't it? It's one of their free ones, though. I don't want to just duplicate that because I'll start to... Well, maybe I can. Yeah, cool. All right. Oh, is it? You can hear that. I missed by a quarter note there. It was a little bit off. That's fine. Just go boop, because we're in grid mode, so it all lines up. All right, we're going to get that snap. We got a snap over here, I think. Oh, yeah. Getting that. And our regular snap. And our... Okay. So now... I wish I had a sampler set up in Pro Tools. I don't right now. But that would be a useful tool here. So we're going to go this. Oops. Boom. Add a little bit of a dink in that. Okay, let me make sure I'm at the right point. Yep, that'll work. So now I'm going to put this little hi-hat on the, there's a little snap sound on the and of 1 and 4. So check this out. Put in another marker. 2. Oh, that didn't work. Alright, so maybe I'll do like this. Boom. And then we take that, duplicate it. This is going to get more complex in the next section, but for now we'll just do like this. Boom. So now we have this section. Alright, that's starting to do something now. Now, of course, we need another section here. I'm just duplicating the snap track so I can put my snap delays on a separate track from my little snappy snaps here. These are about to get cooler, I think. You never know. He's making it all up. So let's see. Delete this. All these levels are going to be different soon, but because our mix is not, we haven't even started the mixing process. Get rid of this guy. Or do I do it like that, where it snaps on the off? Yeah, let me hit it with that. Boom. Let me hit that. Maybe something like that. All of these got to be cleaned up. I think we can probably do that now. We have a pretty good idea of where it's at. So once again, I'm doing this quick and dirty, where I just put in my crossfades, boom, and now all of those are clean. So like right here is a prime example where you might use a audio suite plugin, right, and go in and add reverb, or you might use a send on that particular track. In this case, what I'm going to do is duplicate it so I have the original dry one hanging out. But I'm going to take this guy, and I'm going to make a sample with a huge reverb on it. Oh yeah. You'll see what happens next. Cool. So then we take that. I'm going to take that and we're going to smash it. And EQ it. So now I'm writing a new file with all of this in it. Boom. Some high stuff I really don't like in there. Cool. Okay. So I just rendered that in there into that track so it's louder and kind of has a little, I think, better sound. And now you can do something cool with it. Like, oh man, there's so many options. Sans Amp is going to be more of a like distortion plugin. This is on so many things. Right, so you can crunch it, just turn it into crap. Yeah, that's great. All right, so now we turned that snap sound that sounded like this into this. Then we can take something like that, put it right here, and very quickly, and this is a easy thing, you want that's what's called like a riser or a sweep. You can go in here to other and reverse it. Boom. So I now reverse that. So check this out. So we come in here, edit that down. Boom. And now it go like this. And obviously they're not quite clean, so you know what to do. Go into slip mode. Pull that guy on top like that. And this one like so. Line them up exactly how you want. And you got that cool thing that goes like this. Oop. And then in this case I'll throw a little bit of a crossfade in there, so that should be smooth. It's not quite smooth. We'll make it smooth though. It's better. Not perfect, but it'll work for meaning. So remember, that all came from this, which originally just came from one snap that sounded like a snap. And now it's this. Which is kind of neat. And you could also do that with just reverb and applied instead of creating the tail and reversing it or whatever. Still a little odd that it's got a jump in there, but that's all right. Then you take this guy, push it in here. This will take a bunch of time. So I like this little weird thing here, and what I'm going to do is set that up so that it's not in time exactly. It'll be sort of in time. So right now it starts just before beat 4, and then just before beat 3, and then just before beat 2. And so you can see kind of what I'm doing there. It feels like it's sort of off. So I think we maybe waited too long. And then we're going to take this one and using that thing I mentioned earlier, Shift Option 3, make that into its own little file. Just get rid of this guy. So now this is just like that. And then we can take that and go boop. Make it smaller. And then we can make it smaller, smaller, smaller. That. Boom. And we're starting to get something different and cool. And then we go this, do a pitch compression expansion tool. Yeah, go. What? Oh, because I have a fade, so get rid of the fade. Otherwise, it won't let you do it. Now it should. Get rid of the other fade. Yeah. There are still weird things in this program that are really frustrating. And now we turn it in. Boom. So you can kind of see where we're going now. I didn't know where we were going. I'm just making it up. But that's the point. That's what makes it so great. Maybe we even push this even longer. Just do like this. Then we can bring back in our original swell if we want. Like that. Boom. And that's where we'll hit our second section, which time-wise will put us at 46 seconds. So we can make this section a little shorter. Maybe. Boom. Put in a marker. Marker, you just hit enter, not return, enter, bottom right corner of a full keyboard. Second section. Let me think. How do I want to do this? All right, so second section, an easy way to create variation is to remove things. So, for example, if I go through and I remove every other kick drum that I have just on the beat or something, this will create variation. And in this case, I have not listened to it, but I have an idea of what this will sound like, which is, nice. And so what I can do is guess and then move things around to get to something neat. Boom. Back in. See. So let's go. All right. So then we take this, we move it over. Oop, oop, oop. There we go. Boom. Right onto the beat. So now what I've essentially done is created a halftime section here. And we can maybe bring in. Whoa. Hold on, that was cool. All right, let's take that and do that on purpose. And I want to hear it go out though. Oh yeah, that's cool. Now I think I have somewhere I have a. Oh yeah, I can do this. Bring in my. We'll come back to the chords. Let's just get a little beat going. That's cool. And then my other one is here. I got my two little snaps, and then see what's going on with this. Okay, let's bring that guy in. Now what if we take that, boom, use our time compression expansion tool, and bring it all the way out. Oh, I don't know what this is going to sound like. Oh shit. Also, I'm going to change that. Okay, we're good. Okay, give it a second. Let's try that. still too fast. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom. No, that doesn't work. And sometimes that's the case. Just didn't. It's not doing what I was hoping it was going to do. I got to build something or whatever, make it work. There we go. Or, if you wanted, you could record something real quick. Yeah, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to record me going, hey! So here we go. Hey, and mixer window. I'm going to come in. ADAT. Ooh, I think I'm on 2. Let's see. Hey. Yep, good. All right, and I'm just going to go down here where there's nothing. And we'll record. Hey! Let's do. I think we can do a better one. Hey! Like that. I think that'll be better. And if we could. Well, we might as well. Hey! So we'll have something to stack there. And if I duplicate the track, boom. Then I can take my haze here, come on in, boom, zoom on in, sort of get them lined up if I wanted to. I might go into slip mode. Oops. I might go into slip mode, option 2, cut that, boom. Or you could click right here and hit E, Command E, sorry. It will cut at that point, delete other stuff. You can also use tab to transients. I think it's this one. Nope. Tab to transients here, and then it'll tab over to where it sees the next thing. Hit Command E. Command E, boom. Okay. I've turned off the time compression expansion tool functionality. Good. So this is just trimming. It's not changing time or anything of these haze. All right, now we got some haze. We'll go back to grid mode, Command 4, and we'll line them up. Let's see what we got. Oh. What? Oh, I heard it. It was in there. It was really quiet because I got the levels down. Cool. So I got a couple little haze in there. Come back here, you can see I brought the levels way down on these two. And then I'll take them and I'll pan them out a little bit. And then this would be a place where I'd definitely be adding some stuff. Oh, probably should. This is why. So right now I'm clicking 4 times instead of 2 times. Well, actually 8 times instead of 4 times because click, and then I messed up because I put +1 here as opposed to doing it with Shift and Option where I could have applied that once. Right. So not best practice there. Let's see. Hey. Cool. And this will go like that. So you can see sort of a relative grid mode move here. When I select these two, when I select this, and I move them, the pink one doesn't snap to the grid. It snaps relative to the purple one, even though I'm not in relative grid. If I went to relative grid mode and I move the pink one will stay that distance from the grid. And the purple one will stay on the grid because it's already on the grid. And if I go to absolute grid mode, then this will snap to the grid. So now I got a little haze in there. like that. And then what I might do is take those, go here into some harmonics again, and there's so many good things to mess with here. Boom, like that. Now I got a very aggressive hey. I'll do that on the other aggressive hey. Then I'll come in here, add a reverb. What I'm really looking for is kind of an ambient, something that sounds like it was a sample out of something else, right? So you hear the pre-delay very obviously. Cool, I like that. Just apply it on both of those. And then you can add other things if you wanted to add like a chorusing effect or something. Or a bit crusher. This would be something a little more crazier. Oh, not that one. There is one somewhere in here. Sort of will do that same thing. Maybe it's lo-fi. Yeah. So that's an option. I don't want that for this. Another cool option in here, rectify. Like just as an effect, that's pretty neat. Actually, I might keep that. I'm gonna copy the thing so I don't get it, but that's cool. That's a cool one. I'm cool with that. Let's go back to this one now. Sci-fi also will do like a LFO thing. Here we go. Or that's the rate of that. So it's like now it slows down. Wop 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 wop. So each of these could be its own little ditty, right? If you keep duplicating stuff. So I could take that, duplicate it, duplicate that. Now if I do this, that becomes a new sound within that hey. So now all three of these hays are together. Like that. And that's cool. I think it's something. It's neat. It's creative. And that's okay. Hey. Hey. Like that. So we take these guys right here. What do I have us starting on? The and of 2. Boom, like that. Hey. 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 This goes to the E of 3. 1, 2. The thing I'm talking about when I say 1 or and of 2 or something, if you're in 16th note grid up here, 16th note, every beat is divided into 4 16th notes, and every bar is divided into 4 beats. So in one bar, you have 16 16th notes. And those are syllabically labeled as E and So right here is 4, or 1, beat 1. So 1 E and 2 E and So if something starts on the second 16th note, it starts on the E. It starts on the third 16th note, like if I took this and put it here, now it's 1 E and if I started it here, it'd be on the So in a song like this, you can have 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. And that is how a percussionist might think about it. Then we could take something like this cymbal sweep, and start it boom. I'm going to take that smash right there. I like it cutting like that, though. It's kind of cool. And then I'm going to put it back on 1. Like that. I might just bring down the level here in this gain because it's a lot. Cool. And then we're going to take these 4 bars here, and we're going to copy, duplicate. And we got to figure out something slightly different, which I think we'll bring back in our chords in some fashion here. I just haven't figured out how yet. So another thing you can do is just copy and paste. So Command C, bring that in here, Command V. All right, let's see what happens. There's a cool whop in there. That whop right there. I'm gonna use that. Actually, I'm gonna bring it up significantly. Boom. And I'm doing this. All of this gain adjustment. This is pre all of your effects and stuff. Your fader, all that stuff. So be careful, I guess, is what is my point, because this will affect how your compressors hit and all other things down the channel. So these could all get stretched out also, potentially. I'm not 100% on that yet, but we could go like, got, like right there, boom, got. And then if we went like this, we could potentially take this and go like that. I'm not, it's got fades on it, you stupid thing. All right, hold on. Let's just see what's going on. I guess I can consolidate this one. Shift, Option 3, consolidates the file. Now I don't have to boogie with all that. All right, so now that's kind of cool. That was a neat sound. Considering that all came from the kick drum, it's pretty cool. That chord, that whole chord is from the kick drum. So I take this guy, Command Option 3, it consolidates that file. Boom. Yeah, let's just see what happens. So now it goes. Don't like that one as much. We'll just expand this way a little bit. And maybe we go like this, and you know, I think pitch. I think this time. No. Aha. No, I remember now. Audio Suite pitch shift. If you go to this pitch shift legacy one, and you don't click time correction, it will. Nice little. It will actually make that clip shorter. So I don't know if you saw that, but. So if you click time correction, it keeps it the same length. But if you don't click this box, then this will get shorter. So if I go up 2 octaves, it will get 4 times shorter. Like that. And probably just become like a noise. Like that. Which is not necessarily what I was going for. I was going for more of a tone, but it's kind of cool anyway. Let's see what we got. Boom, boom. Ooh, we got some stuff. We got some stuff right there. There's a lot. Oh man, this just became like a real track to me. I'm feeling that. Ooh, that was, yeah. That's a really nice sound, and that's creating samples. Man, yeah. I might grab that, use it in another production. It's just got a lot of like good character in it. All right, let's see what happens. Hey. Okay, something there. I'm not gonna do too much more work on that right now, but I like that sound. Boom, duplicate it, and then what else we got hanging out over here? Oh right, I forgot about all these little wonk wonk wonks. Well, yeah, okay. Then we could just take this one. Like this could be our outro, right? Outro, what I mean by outro is really just thinking about the ending, not just cutting things off, which is just way too common in sort of modern DAW production where you just kind of end it, just kind of stop, and it's in like the middle of a phrase and you haven't thought about how it actually ends or sounds or would work. So even just doing something crazy can be really cool if you've, sort of thought about what that might do for the overall track, how someone might interpret that. So like this could easily be turned into sort of church bells type of sound. So let's see. Cool. And take something like this. Do that. We'll put a big fade on it. Boom. So now. And yeah, and turn off the time compression expansion. Just bring this guy back a little bit. Get it out of the way. So that's cool. And we could bring in our sweeper again. Might have we'll just throw it on another track for no. Hold on, I want. Well, here's another cool one. Take an effects like this, and once again just reverse the whole thing. So I did this earlier with a modified thing that I had used, but if we do it with well, this is also modified, but so now that will lead into our weird, creepy ending. Boom, like that. And let's see. to make sure that nothing clips at the end. You want to make sure all of these are clean, they have fades, there's no weird like boops or anything going on. If you want to end with like a crash or some sort of thing, that's always kind of neat, to not have it just end without anything on beat 1. And I should be about a minute and 10. Yep, cool. And all right, so now I'm going to listen to the whole thing, and I am basically not going to touch anything here anymore except to add in small crossfades if I hear any clicks or pops, which I should not hear. I generally have been trying to take care of those. But that would be the appropriate workflow. There definitely, if you think that there are things to come back to and work on, by all means go back and keep working. That's great. But that's it, you know, if I was getting this from a client, it would be just mixing. That would be what I'm working on at this point. I would not be altering their files, except for little cleaning things up type of stuff. Cool. So from the top. That's cool. We're going to throw that. Just listen. With a reverb on that sweep. What's going on there? All right, we're going to bring down all of our levels a little bit, except not our these guys, which option click on those. These are your aux tracks, and your masters should all be set at 0. Let's see. I want that little symbol. Where's that? It's right here, the cymbal closed hi-hat part. I'd like that to poke out a little more. Drag this over to my other window just so I can kind of see my timeline. Cool. And then if you wanted to do something like automation, which we'll talk about next time, you can go into like touch and then play it from the beginning and watch this. So I just automated in that sweep from the left to the right. So now, boom. All right, now we need a kick drum that's kind of hitting. Go to right here. Channel strip. So you can hear the Pro Tools has a very aggressive compressor. So just something to keep in mind. Super fast. And it can work really well, but you just got to be kind of ready for it to smack you in the face. I'm just kind of looping this section. A little bit of that. Pull out some of the extreme lows here. There, we're getting a little bit of that click at the top. A little more of it. There's a lot in this sample already, which is great. All right. And that's a problem. We're overloading the input to our next processor. Definitely don't want to be doing that. So something to keep in mind there. And that's probably due to this gain. Cool. Let's listen to this kick. Okay, so this is kind of our low end kick here. And that thing's also just like quite a strong kick. It's this attack that's just insane. We're just gonna smack this guy a little bit. This one, I'm not really. I want the low end in it, but I don't want. I mean, there's like a big old tone down there. will sometimes try to find those like sine tones that are in sort of an 808 type kick, and I'll boost them, but I'll pull down the rest of the low end a little bit, so it has that low end clarity and stuff, but it's not necessarily like all just like massive low end on my kick. In this case, there's no bass line or anything, so it's fine to use up your low frequency. But I have two, if you hold down shift, you can see two plugins at the same time in Pro Tools. So the one on the left is my first kick drum, and the one on the right is the second one. And the first one has a lot more attack, and a little bit of this low end sort of doom, but not more than that. And then the second one is all sort of low end crunchy 808 sampley sounding stuff, and it has a lot more tone to it. For now, I'm feeling pretty good about that. There's our little clicks. Oh, we definitely are going to add some stuff to that. Oh, I'm going to go over here to my auxiliaries, and I'm going to set them up holding down command and clicking on this solo key so that we can hear it. I'm also monitoring this main out to make sure I'm not peaking too much or at all eventually. So right now we're in a good spot, and my volume comes up in my system, and I will maybe turn up a little bit for you guys as well. So now as I mix, generally things get quieter and quieter, including my main volume, like the actual output to my speakers, because you're trying to be more and more fine-tuned, and I find the best way to do that is to bring your volume down. So I'll mix, sort of get things set, and then I'll turn it up. I'll be mixing for maybe an hour to 3 hours at like 85 to 90 decibels on average, and then as I get to that like 4th, 5th, 6th hour, the volume starts coming back down towards like 70 decibels or so. And I can't show you this, but I keep a dB meter on my desk, so that's what's going on with that. All right, let's get this snaps happening. Oh yeah, I'm gonna hit with this compressor. Don't want to see peaking. Peaking is bad. So all my samples are pretty good levels. Cool. That one doesn't change much, so let's... I kind of like that guy just straight. So here's a place where I would be bringing in these low pass. Don't need all that low end that's in that. This is nothing, I'm not compressing, that's just the underlying sample is pushing all my levels here, so. Not ideal. There's a couple things we can do with that, but you can see every single one of these has a input and output that are distorted because the actual sample is kind of overloading. So I'm going to use some compression to bring that down, but I can also go in and bring down overall level using something like a gain plugin here at the top. So under other, go to trim is what it's called here in Pro Tools, and that's just a gain plugin, so I can just bring down the level of the incoming audio. So now we shouldn't see that stuff as we go to our channel strip. Nothing's peaking, and that's what we want to see. And sometimes a really short, quick attack is like awesome. quick attack, quick release on percussion stuff. Sometimes. Other times it really doesn't do what you want it to. There's some cool stuff right in here. Once again, I don't want to be peaking though anywhere, so I'll bring down the output a little bit so my inputs and outputs are pretty good. Then we put this back with this. Add a little reverb. That's why I got all my sends ready to go. All right, from the top, we got our walkie double here. So that's an interesting one here. Definitely going to pull out low end. Don't need that. And I think on this case, I'm also going to pull down the top end. Try to make it sound more like something that's sampled. Here's the last one. Like, I don't want all that stuff. Boom. Where's the walk part? There we go. Bypass that. Roll off the low end. Make it a little more steeper. A little more steep. Trying to give that its own space. Yeah. Then here's our high one. And that dun 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 dun. The walk double. Pushing our master again. So this is a place where I just come in here, bring all my levels down a little bit, keep working. So nothing's changed except for the outputs. Well, I should modify my my group here so it's not an all group. It's all audio group. So just do that. Command G, just audio tracks group, and now I can do those adjustments and it doesn't affect my auxiliary sends or my master. So I don't want to EQ these two parts the same, the two walk parts. So I'll just, I want those to be different. And I do like having a little delay on them, and that's the stereo delay that we added at the beginning. The low end one here, it has so much high, or the higher one has so much high frequency that it's kind of weird. And Pro Tools starts off with so low of a Q. So I'm trying to get it without it getting too, like, just choppy. So much. So that's why I'm rolling off all of this high-end stuff. And then we'll hit it with some bigger reverb. And then both of them together. Oh, yeah. All right, let's see what's going on here. Oh, this is our chords. And that's cool. So something we might do here is actually add in a cooler plugin, something like this. Oh, you're not going to hit that. Maybe. I don't know if this is a Pro Tools one or not. No, this is a great plugin though. Worth checking out, but I won't use it because it's not a standard in Pro Tools. SansAmp is though. Yay, SansAmp. want that low end competing with my kick on that thing, even though it's kind of cool sounding by itself. EQing the reverb a little bit there. That's that snappy snap. All right, so let's see what's going on with that one. Okay, so that comes in here. So definitely on something like that, I'm getting rid of this low end. I don't need it. Cool. But I do want a little bit of sort of mid-low on a snap. And this one's got a bunch of other stuff on there, which is not ideal, but cool. And then sometimes the high end on a thing like this will get kind of weird, so you might bring that in and roll off some of that high end. Oops. Calm Pro Tool. There we go. That on a snap, just so it's not too like sharp. Sometimes it's cool though. Depends on the type of production. So just making these snaps. Oh yeah, that's kind of neat. Okay, we got a little slop on it. Cool. All right, so then obviously we gotta so now we're getting into the second part. I just skipped the transition there for a second. Now shift and option, we put a verse 3. Ah, that's really cool. So what I think I'm going to do here is actually take this chords track, and for the second part here, I'm going to duplicate it. You'll see it up here in a second. And I'm just going to use, here I'll show you this. So this is a trick I would use with clients for sure, is so they give me a track, it's chords, and for this first section, it's utilized in one fashion. And for the second halftime section, it's really different. And so what I'll do is I'll duplicate that track and then utilize a different set of plugins or parameters slightly different for another section of a song. So even if they gave it to me on one track, I have no issues duplicating a track and treating it separately in the mix process. So that's what I did. So now I have chords duplicate, which Pro Tools automatically labels for me. But what I'm going to do in addition to that is I'm going to apply a sidechain compressor to this. So I'm going to go over to my kick here, and I'm going to set up a send bus. Doesn't really matter, but I'll put it on bus 20. Set that up as a pre-fader send, so the level is not relevant, and then I'll have, and in Pro Tools that doesn't go anywhere. You have to tell it to go somewhere, and then I'm going to set up a dynamic here, 9 compressor, sidechain input, key input 20, and that should cue off of my this kick drum send here at the end. So let's see. You can see this is queuing. Hear that swell on the keys. So I'm going for it. Really, this plugin could be used on a lot of stuff in this track, probably, or anything long. But for now, we'll just use it on that one. So that's a sidechain key input from the kick drum affecting the chords. So if I solo that, you can see this is compression here that's reacting to the kick drum and getting out of the way when that kick hits. So gets something like that. Cool. All right, we're starting to get some levels set up here. Let's go back to this section. Now, another thing I might automate here is maybe like a send in my chords part. So if I go to the chords in this section, I'm pretty sure this will do what I want. Yep, auto touch. So check this out. Play it. You saw it switch back down. That's because it's in touch mode. So when you let go of that parameter or stop clicking or whatever, it will go back down. So here I'll do the same thing. I'm still going to be in, I just switched it, but I'll still be in touch mode here. And this time I'm going to add delay and stuff. I overdid it. We'll just do it again. Cool. All right, so we got some stuff happening there. And that's cool. And let's check out what's going on. This effect, I like it, but definitely want some more space on that. More width, so I'm giving it a little more reverb. Yeah. Just kind of want it to be really a cool, nutty sound. And this one should have some low end going on. I might boost it a little bit without these crazy keys. And we'll cut off this side. Okay. And these go. It's kind of neat in that next section. Cool. All right. Let's try that again. So still pushing that a little bit. So I take all my audio tracks. I'm just going to bring those guys down a little bit. And let's play into it. Here we go. So you see my master is not peaking here. That's what you should be looking like. Oh, it peaked. See it peak? And it's on my send here. Cool. So this gives us an opportunity to look at some automation parameters a little bit. So if I go into that, that's in my chords track here. Oh, I definitely want to get out of touch mode when I'm not using it. So if we take a look at this track, we can look at our automation parameters in the track view selector here where it says waveform. You can switch that up. And that was, I believe, bus 1, and I cranked it like way too high. And if we go in here and we take our pencil tool, Command 6, we can very easily draw in a different curve so it doesn't do all of that. You can use all the tools in here. So you can use your grabber tool and add a point and adjust that. You can see I'm adjusting a bunch of them right now, which is not what I was going for. And that's because I have this group selected over here. All right. But yeah, so I can come in and I can, I could grab this point and just drag it around and do things if I wanted. I could also take my selector tool, select several points like this, and delete them all. It did not delete the audio behind that, just deleted that. I could take my trimmer tool and trim it all down, right? With the selector tool, if you hold down Option, you can delete a point. So you see, boom, boom, and now I'll have a nice smooth curve going back like that. So that's pretty cool. And I think that's where it was feeding back, or sorry, was overloading my master. Let's check that real quick. Yeah, see now it's not even close. I got a 4 decibels of space. So we got a basic mix going. Nothing's peaking. I'm going to watch my entire mix and make sure. I got some sidechain compression going. Kind of wish I actually had a little more kick. Yeah. Good. And so if you look at my faders here, you can see nothing's above 0. 0 is all the way up here. My highest faders of my audio tracks, this is important to my audio tracks, is -6, -7, -4.6 here. So my auxiliary tracks all sit at 0. My master sits at 0. All my audio tracks are below unity, below 0. And nothing's peaking across my entire mix. And that is an appropriate place to be at to bounce it out. Now, if you do want to go on and do just a little bit of mastering type stuff, basic mastering will involve compression, EQ, and limiting. And generally, I do 2 of each of those. So I will have an EQ to kind of clean things up. I'll have a compressor. These are not the plugins I would normally use to do this. Isotope and Waves both have some really great plugins for this type of thing. But I would do some sort of compression. Logic also, they have their stock stuff can be used for this stuff pretty well. Ableton does a good job, but I've had some alterations in the sonic quality with that. And then another EQ, and then some sort of limiter, which in Pro Tools they have this Maxim type slam limiter. So this would be like a basic mastering chain in order. We'll go 1, 2, 3, and then 4, my limiter. And so now, play my track from the top, and I listen and see if there's anything I didn't really like. In this track, there's like some mid-rangey stuff that's kind of weird. I like the low end though, so I'm going to bring out a little bit of this 180-ish. Where am I at here? Yeah, 150, 180. Just a little much of that. This compressor is destroying everything right now, so I'm bypassing that so I can hear. That's a little much there. So I'm just cleaning up some things here. And once again, make sure you're not peaking. All right. Now, I'm going to look at my compressor, kind of see, okay, can I sort of have this guy start to bring things down a little bit. Do I want to crush it? Just destruction. So this next plugin would be used to like add cool stuff. If you're like, oh, I want that low end to like hit. All right. So I'm bringing a shelf down here, and then I'm boosting a little bit on that low frequency. I want to like really dominate on the low end. So it's a little trick, but it can be very useful to get a curve that kind of looks like that. Oops. Something to keep in mind. Yeah, okay, so we'll come back here. Boom. We got our little thing going down like that. And you'll see I'm kind of reducing in that same area I was on my first EQ. I don't know, maybe it's my room. Either way, I'm going to make it a little smoother. All right, cool. Then you have some sort of like Maxim type plugin. And so what a limiter plugin like this is doing is it's you're bringing down the threshold, but you're actually bringing up the content. So there's a good, oh, nice. So as you bring this down -3, you're actually bringing up the level of the track by 3.5 decibels. So it's kind of forcing the track into the threshold point. You can think about it. So as you bring this down, you're bringing up the audio. So you can pretty clearly hear that on most limiters. The L2 is a great limiter to play around with this, and sounds good. So, yeah. So now I'm still checking to make sure I'm not peaking on any sort of output. Bam. So there's only one thing I still want to adjust. That's a little mastering thing. And that is, I'd like to go back to waveform view here, and those little dun dun ticka dun dun ticka dun dun are like super annoyingly loud. I think it's those. I think it only happens twice. So let's see. Yeah, I think these. So I'm just gonna bring these guys down. It's really this first one that's annoying. Boom. Tick it down. 416. Just like, that's too much. Really, all of them. I should just bring them all down. They all sound annoying to me. That's better. And it happens one more time here. So we'll just do it like this. Just go through and bring them all down a little bit. And, you know, I might go in and really like pay attention to every single one of these. If this was for a client or something, make sure that they are exactly what I want. Or exactly the same, or not exactly the same, right? Because you can create variation that way. Cool. And then it cuts kind of hard, which is kind of neat. You can see I have section 1, section 1, 2. That's, I'm going to put in a little note here. We'll call it outro. And then back at the beginning, we'll call it intro. I'm using the enter key. And then I'll put in one here that I just call end. So I know I can go to that, select to the beginning, and then I can bounce, which is Option Command B. And you want to make sure you're in interleaved audio. You can add the MP3. If you're going to go to 16-bit, you need to apply a dither plugin somewhere. So you can do that on the master. That was in assignment 1. And I'm going to call it this. Version 1. Cool. And we can do it offline. That's fine because there's no outboard stuff. And go. Oh, and the MP3 stuff, if you want to tag it and put in artists and albums and class stuff and whatever, you can do that. You can make this, all these genres that are common to the MP3 codec across multiple programs, so people can actually get in there and work with that stuff. It's kind of cool. All right, then you hit OK, and you bounce. So the last thing I'm going to roll into here and show you is, so now it'll create an MP3. Good. So if I go here to where this is saved for me, this music, Pro Tools, modding composition. If you look in my audio files folder, like at the beginning you might have been a little like, oh man, how am I supposed to make 10 samples? Here's all the files that came from that original 6, I think it was 6 files. So these are all pitch shifted. I mean, they're stereo, so there's 2 mono files for each. But this is, I don't know, probably 50 to 60 different changes. Time shift, pitch shift, reverse. Those are probably the ones I used most. And then also the time correction, compression, expansion tool. So something to, first off, why you label samples and everything is so you can actually figure out what's going on here. And then in our bounce files, we have our 2 bounces. And we're ready to go. We come over here, click on the session folder, compress it into a zip file, which takes 10 seconds. This is really not that much audio as far as length goes. Everything here is very small in our audio files folder. Yeah, and so that's what it should look like when your project is unzipped and we see all of this. And that's our composition. Sounds like this.